All right, welcome back to part 2 of building tiny PCs for my parents. I'm going to rush through the first part here, probably just going to throw up a couple little clips of each of the highlight bits because you saw me do this last time. So no need to go through it again, we got all the same stuff. X300 DeskMini, we've got 16 gigs of crucial DDR4, Samsung 980 SSD, additional hard drives if they'll work this time, Wi-Fi to plug in, and all the good stuff. Anyway, let's hop to it. I'm going to build this thing real quick. Install the CPU. Remove the CPU brackets. Punch out the USB plates. Install the USB 2 ports. Quick note, once you've got it in place, put a USB drive in it to hold it in place while you screw it in so that it doesn't get out of alignment. Zip tie, VAT cable in place. CPU cooler. If you're using the AMD box fan, under the AMD label, pop this up. Alright, so if you have a pry tool from like an iFixit kit, use the flat bar. You can get under the edge and you should be able to pry it up. So, even if this feels like it's really stuck on, it's not held on with anything other than some bump clips here that hook under this ledge. You can pry it off. It might actually be easier after you sit it down so that you've got something applying force to the bottom of it. Next step, clean the pre-applied thermal paste. Apply a thermal paste. Use the good stuff if you can get it. Install CPU fan. Install the RAM. Punch out the top and bottom holes for the Wi-Fi. Find the flat side of the Wi-Fi mount. Slide it in. Install the washer. Install the nut. Spin it down. If you have some, use some needle nose or even regular pliers to tighten it down a bit, but not too much. Repeat for the second antenna lead. Attach the wires to the nipple ports on the Wi-Fi card. If they're color-coded, follow that. Route your wireless cables, screw the Wi-Fi adapter into place, all the way down. M.2, if you have a heatsink for it, put it on. Next step, BIOS update. Next step, load the XMP profile. Apply and restart. Next step, find the UMA frame buffer and pick the size of your graphics memory. Apply and restart. Verify all your settings are current. Make sure you've got a thumb drive for your OS and reboot and install. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I am back. I've got a thumb drive with Ubuntu Linux on it because we're doing Linux today. So let me plug this in. Alright, well, let's go and see if this works. Alright, looks like we're reading the thumb drive. Alright, there we go. That is really tiny. So, while this does this bit, I will educate y'all with a little bit of history. So, most people don't mess with Linux because they think it's too nerdy. You got to be like a code monkey to be able to get anything installed correctly. And with some versions of Linux, that is correct. Ubuntu Linux is Linux for Windows users. It is literally almost a seamless changeover. Very rarely do you run across something that won't work, but honestly, when you do, it winds up being a major hassle to figure out how to get it to work. But that's what Google is for. Anyway, my dad, bless his soul, has never met a pop-up window that he didn't want to click on. So, 12, 15 years ago, after about the 6th time that I had to reformat and reinstall Windows on his computer, I decided to put him on Linux, and he's been there ever since. Actually, he's gotten to the point where he likes the desktop for Ubuntu Linux more than he does Windows. So, we are going to let this finish doing its boot up install thing, and we will be right back. Alright, so I'm back. So here we are. We have a try Ubuntu, so you can run it off the USB stick as a live disk, or install. We're just going to go straight to install. Wow, I can't even read that. Alright, so this is mildly unfortunate and irritating since I'm trying to view this through a window, but it seems to have set the screen resolution to the largest size it detects. So it's running like a 4K input, and I can't change the graphics until we've finished installing. So, yep. Alright, so we're on to the next window here. We skipped Wi-Fi. We're going to take a normal install. Alright, and we're going to take the regular wipe and install. We'll let that run and we'll be back at the desktop in a second. Alright guys, so I got this connected and I got the screen resolution, which like Windows, you can just right click the desktop, go to display settings, and I've got it set to something that I can actually read in this OBS window. So once I got the screen set where I could do, you go to the same place, little drop down, selected my Wi-Fi and logged into it, and now we're going to update. So the little Ubuntu software locker here, get that opened up. Catalog is being downloaded. There we go. All right. Let me move my face a little here. All right. What do we got here? So obviously you can find utilities and stuff in here. There's a search thing somewhere. That's probably it. So if you wanted to get, say, VLC, there you go. Click on that and you click install. That is one way to do it. Or you can open a terminal window, and there's a couple of basic Linux commands that everybody should know for doing applications here. We're going to do apt get update. No, I think I have to sudo apt get update. I forgot about that. I don't have to work with Linux a lot, so I forgot you have to do the super user do, or sudo. So the apt-get update is the terminal command to force the software catalog to update for the newest versions of software. And then you can sudo apt-get install VLC, for instance. Boom. And it actually helps if you spell stuff correctly. Linux is very particular about spelling. It is held by process. So apparently there's a background process that won't let me manually install software at the moment. Let me see what that is. Let me see what's going on. It might have just been because I had the software catalog open in the GUI, because I clicked install in there and it started installing. So yay. Let me see what else I can find to show you. All right, ladies and gents. So I've done the updates, let it, here, let me move my face a little bit here. That way I'm not falling out of the side of the screen. I have done the updates on here, let it downloaded all of its stuff. It's up to date, it's good to go, so I'm going to box it up and ship it to my parents. I had the same problem with this box that I did with the other box that I did for my mother. It detects the M.2 storage just fine. It does not seem to detect the SATA disks plugged into it. So unfortunately, no internal storage disks for, they've got terabyte disks, that should be just fine, but I was going to put some extra storage in there in case they wanted. I guess they're just going to have to get like one of those, externals or whatever when they're on sale or something. But I'll talk that through with them and let them know what to do. Other than that, slight snafu of it not recognizing the regular disks, as long as you're going with M.2 disks. Went together just fine, installed without a problem. I did accidentally pinch the bejeebus out of my hand a minute ago putting the case back together. If you turn it up and let gravity help you slide it down, make sure you get all your squishy fleshy bits out the way. But yeah, other than that, this debacle was relatively debacle-less, except for those hard drives. That still irritates me. The earlier model of this, the A300, I've got one of those in the other room. I use it as my media PC. That detected the hard drives no problem. But the X300s here, that's 2 in a row that won't detect SATA drives. And I know they're good because I pulled them out of my my RAID box that I built before on another video. Won't detect them on either port in either box. So however you look at it, that's a data point failure of like 4 of 4. That's 100%. So I wouldn't rely on this to build like any sort of NAS. But for just a little set-top box, theater PC, that sort of thing, seems to work pretty good. Anyway, guys, I'm going to sign off. Like, subscribe, do the internet stuff. I'll see you all on the next one.